Good evening. Tonight, talk a little bit about hip hop. Hip hop 2010. 2010 it seems to be the year that major industry executives, the music industry, have seemed to come to a level where they're now expected to be able to multitask. And it's not surprising to find executives at one company doing things at other companies, working on other projects. From a chairman of a company, to a label executive, to a manager, even to an artist serving as an executive and owner and operator of a record label. Stellar example is tonight's guest, Al Branch, who thankfully agreed to come here tonight and talk to you folks.
Thanks for having me.
Al is the, I hope I got this right, general manager
Yes.
of a company called Hip Hop since 1978. You say, what's that? Well, that's a company that is, I consider it, my words, not yours, a brain trust. Some of the smartest executives in contemporary urban hip hop music are all together there, coming from different walks of the industry to form a collective that has really set some amazing benchmarks. Some things I, just picked out of various places. In 1998, they started the company by signing a young music producer named Kanye West and helped him move from being just a producer to an artist. In 2008, they were involved managing the only two artists that sold over 1 million units. I'm talking about Kanye West, and the second one was Lil Wayne. Also, I know Al's really proud of this number, is the organization is responsible for generating the most successful, highest grossing hip hop tour ever with Lil Wayne. It's grossed about $42 million.
Yeah. Yep.
The myth has always been, well, hip hop artists sell lots of CDs, give away a lot of mixtapes, and are very successful, but they don't have successful tours. Well, I'm here to tell you, this man was responsible, instrumental, part of the process of turning that story around with Lil Wayne. And you all know how successful Lil Wayne is. But I want to go back to the very beginning, Al.
Yeah.
I mean, you were much like any of the other folk in this room not so long ago. And I wondered if you grew up where?
Hollis, Queens. Yep, that's where I started. I've never had media training before, so I don't know, should I be looking at the camera, should I be looking at you, or looking at him?
You do whatever you want.
I've often paid some invoices for media training, but I never took it myself. So growing up in Hollis, Queens, very much inspired, by my neighborhood, LL Cool J and Run DMC and, Russell Simmons, who can forget that? And I got into the industry, I got inspired like about 12 years old. My dad introduced me to like an older cousin, and an older cousin of mine, Tony White, was involved in the music industry in the 80s. He was part of hip hop as essence started out with like street battles, lyrically. And he was a part of a street battle between UTFO, Roxanne Shante, and the real Roxanne. And the real Roxanne was his client, and her producer, Spider D, was from Hollis, Queens, and he had tons of experience, and he, really mentored me and spent long nights, talking to me. And in those days, he would smoke marijuana, and I would be sitting in the room, couldn't even like keep my eyes open while he told me all these great stories. And the stuff sunk in. I left with some contacts, but I also contacts getting, from the marijuana excess smoke, and I also left with, a lot of knowledge and appreciation for the game and where it would be. And we're talking about, I'll be 36 in August, so I'm thinking that's maybe like over 20 years ago now. At this point, 24 years ago when this happened to me, and it just kind of, changed my life, and also the environment I was in. I could see it, I could feel hip hop, and I tell people all the time, like I was one of those kids at 6, 7 years old, being with my older cousins, going to park jams, and seeing like the DJs, climb a pole and steal electricity and on the park jams, and I got a chance to experience that. So and hence the name of the company, Hip Hop Since 1978. The original name of the company was Rock the World, because if I go back, not too far back, but maybe 14 years ago, my partners and I, Kiambo Hip Hop Joshua and G Roberson, we all met at Rockefeller Records, and I met them in March of 1996, and I was a college student, like many of you are right now, and I was attending CCNY, City College in New York, and I graduated high school in Queens, and I went to City College of New York to play basketball, but really just to kind of, get out of Queens and do some things. I didn't want to go too far from home, but I wanted to travel a little bit. So I would travel from Queens to Harlem every day, and so I got to college, and like one of the happiest times of my life. I met all these different people and into different things and the arts, and over here you got dancers, and you got the rappers, you got the DJs, you got the moguls, and it was like a whole melting pot of people, and it was very inspiring. And one day, in my basketball career, it was all my fault. I had every opportunity in the world, to get to the NBA level, but I was lazy. I wasn't really that inspired by it after a while, and but I always had this love and undying belief that I'll be successful in life. And at some point, I said, I like this music thing, and I tried to be an artist, rapping or singing. I couldn't sing, but I was always trying to form groups, but I could never sing. And I never could play an instrument, but I could like write poetry real well. So like, if I could just get these guys to sing, I could be, whatever. So I tried those schemes, but it's interesting because all those schemes I had led me to this point, and I don't regret any of those schemes or ideas I had, because without those ideas, I would never got to this point of being an executive and a manager. And the interesting story about me being in college is that I started off as a nursing major, because I was like, I want to make money. And at those times, nurses were getting paid a lot of money in the early 90s. You're talking about 1992, 1993, the AIDS epidemic hit hard, and male nurses were getting paid hundreds of thousands of dollars. So I became a nursing major because I wanted to make the money. And I loved it. It was cool, but then them labs were killing me, man. I was like, this is crazy. So then I said, well, I like to talk. I like people. I just become a communication, film, and video major. And I came a CFV major, and I had some PR and marketing, PR and advertising classes. Did really well in the advertising classes, but not so much in the PR classes. I wasn't afraid for public speaking, but I wasn't a strong writer. I kind of write the way I talk, and we all know that's not really good. That's not how you're supposed to do it technically, but it was a hard habit for me to break. And my PR teacher, Mrs. Applebaum, just never believed in me. She would say, "You're just not good at this," and it was so discouraging. I was like, wow. Anyway, so I did really well in advertising, so that cut me in courage. So one day I was talking to a friend of mine, and he was like, "Oh man, I got an internship at a record label." I was like, "Really? How you do that?" "Oh, you gotta go see Professor Donito or something like that, and you have to be a junior or a senior, and you gotta get the application, blah blah blah." So I went, got the application. I lied. I said I was a junior. You got to be a junior or senior to get an internship. So I said I lied. They catch me. They don't. Little I know David Geffen did the same thing. Worked for him, and it worked for me too. No one ever followed up. Got the internship at Pendulum Records with Ruben Rodriguez, who you know very well.
Actually, I spoke to Ruben today about you.
Oh no, really?
Yes. And these are things that you guys should all think about, because these are the qualities that this man, 25 years later, remembers about him as an intern and as an employee. He said he was never afraid to make his presence known. He said he got right into it. He just jumped right into the stuff. Oh. He said, I was always impressed he had an opinion, and he always had something to say, and he wasn't afraid to say it. He wasn't afraid to express his feelings. And he said, we were working at the time, the Diggable Planets, Lords of the Underground, and he said, I like the fact that the man was able to contribute his ideas, and he wasn't intimidated by the environment. And I think any of you who go out there in the real world, or even as interns, you got to temper that certainly, but here's this man who's very successful, and it's the guy that gave him his first shot, is looking back fondly and saying, you know, he wasn't afraid to get his hands dirty and express his opinion. Might not have agreed with him all the time, but he had a point of view. And I think that's really important. You have to have a point of view.
Yeah, that's interesting. And Ruben is a great executive. I mean, he worked for Motown in the early days, in the 70s and stuff. So
Ruben's referenced, those of you who read the Casablanca book, Party All Night, Ruben is referenced in there a number of times because he was a key executive at Casablanca before he went out on his own and started Pendulum, which was distributed at the time by Elektra.
Yeah, exactly. And I went back to work at Elektra. Interesting. But I'm not going to get into my whole bio, but, you know, the key thing that I would say is that, you know, it was a very, you know, it's scary, you know, walking into these companies as an intern and trying to figure out what's your mark going to be and what you can contribute. And funny, I told Steve, I said, Steve, you know, really the thing that me and G, my partner, talk about all the time was like, we're the next great crop of young, energetic guys. You know, and the women, like I'm trying to find I don't think by any means I'm great. I think I'm on a good path, but I'm no Irving Azoff yet. I'm no David Geffen yet. I'm no L.A. Reid yet. Steve Balls. I look up to all these people. I'm no Ruben Rodriguez yet. But I really like to find, you know, those next crop of great, you know, talented executives who want to do the damn work. Not people who want to go and buy a necklace or buy a chain and look good and, you know, sleep with all the girls they can or girls meet all the guys they can meet. I want to find people who really want to get the job done like myself, and it's really hard to find those type of people. When I find people like that, I try to hold on to them because they're precious and they're the future, you know, for my company. You know, we all know the way to get rich. If you don't know, the way to get rich is get people to do your job for you. That's the secret. That's what Damon Dash did to me. That's what JayZ did to me. You know, get someone, come with a product and get someone to believe in that product as much as you believe in that product. And that's how you get really rich, you know, and be it JayZ. When I first started working with JayZ, you talking about a guy who was, you know, off the streets of Brooklyn. I don't know how, but he had a Lexus, he had American Express before he put his first album out. He had, you know, he just had all this, you know, confidence, and he was established so much when I first started working with him. But, you know, if you listen to the first JayZ record, Dead Presidents, you can't, or not even Dead Presidents, my partner G actually worked not Can I Get Open, the second one, In My Lifetime. Usually In My Lifetime, you know, or even Reason Without, you can't listen to that song and hear this guy's gonna be doing the Empire State and doing stuff he's doing now. You can't tell me that. I told LA that, cause I said, LA, man, this hip hop game, you gotta be in to win it. Cause you never know when that artist is gonna have an okay song today and 10 years from now has the biggest song in the world. And but like I said, Damon Dash and JayZ made us believe in them, you know, and JayZ more than we believed in anything else. And we were on that mission, like a cult. We were on that mission to, you know, prove Damon and JayZ right and make sure the whole world knew that this guy's a superstar. And it was days where I would call and talk about, hey, you know, I need to play his JayZ records. I did retail marketing. I did a little bit of mix show promotions at Rockefeller when it first started. So a small company of 10 of us. And I would get on the phone and I was like, hey, you know, I'm working a new JayZ record. You hear it yet? No, we don't like him. F him. He's not better than Biggie. Click. Oh, he's not better than Nas. Nas way better. Oh, he's not attractive. Like, it was straight rejection we were getting. You know, so who would know that, you know, we persevered, we believe in that. The 10 people who made 12 people who combined believed in him so much that look at him today. You know, it's debatable if he would be who he is, because if Tupac and Biggie were here, but even when they were here, he was still a force to be reckoned with. You know, so it's like you just never know. So that's why I tell Steve that if I could find some young crop of talent who just want to believe and work hard, you know, and not be seen and not be flashy, but really be focused. You know, I'm waiting for that day to find some individuals like that. It doesn't matter if they're white, black. You know, it doesn't matter to me. You know, I just want them to be good and focused. You know.
So you say what you're saying is belief is a very important factor in success.
Yeah, and it happens to artists too. I mean, how many? Like I always say, Ludacris. I mean, this guy just believed in himself, and look what he got. I mean, Kanye. I mean, seriously, one about Kanye. I know the guy intimately. He's like a brother to me intimately, but the guy is in Hawaii right now, sleeping in the studio for 7 days straight, making this album. Telling his girlfriend, I love you, but go home, babe. I got work to do. Like, he's just that committed to working on it. He's always been that way. You know, he always digs himself in the hole, you know, by what he thinks, but he digs himself out by hard work. You know, and I just don't think enough people have the work ethic these days to be successful, because that's what it really takes. I mean, Wayne was recording up until his last hour before he went to jail. I mean, you look at it was like one of the best days of my life. You know, JayZ was another one of my clients, was on tour with JayZ, and we negotiated that thing for him. And I didn't realize JayZ had never been in the garden ever in his life. I never realized that. And we were planning, and we was like, we gotta do something special for JayZ. Because we thought Jay was gonna have Mary J. Blige and, you know, Kobe Bryant and LeBron James and Jesus Christ next time on stage. We didn't know, you know, what he was gonna do. But, you know, in the hip hop thing, in the hip hop world, our thing is the surprise guest on your show. Who can get the best surprise guest to come out on your show and shock the crowd? We was like, man, so we anticipating Jay's gonna bring out Beyonce. He's gonna bring out, we anticipate all this stuff. My partners and I, Friday before the show, and we was like, well, we're gonna get, you know, get Nicki Minaj. We had Drake come back from Jamaica a day early to be on stage with JayZ. They could back him up. And how do we know that Wayne would be, so he's supposed to turn himself in that day, and the court caught on fire. True story, the rumor. And so he was like, oh, Wayne coming. Wayne came. It was like, you know, it was Wayne's first time ever in the garden. Because if you think about it, the reason why he's in jail right now is because the people who own the garden, the lawsuit is really, they started the lawsuit because they were the ones who called the cops at the Beacon Theater for him to come get arrested. So it's like, that's a really proud day for me, but it's that belief, and you just never know you believe, and good things happen to you when you believe in something, so.
One thing that's very controversial right now in 2010 is the record labels, the major labels are, particularly Warner's, is supposedly not going to sign any new acts unless they get a 360.
They won't get any of my acts.
Well, so I know you did an editorial last year in Billboard, so I just wanted maybe you could spout forth your philosophy on the 360.
I really wrote that piece in Billboard. I had a couple of people, like an army of 10, you know, critique me, but they didn't have much critiquing to do, so. It's an op-ed piece. I guess I have to impress Mr. Applebaum anymore, you know, so I guess.
Send her a copy?
I should send her a copy of that.
You should.
Yeah, I send her a copy of that. Her and Camille Yarborough is another teacher of mine. She's an artist, by the way, and she really came down on me hard one day, because at that time I was actually working for Rockefeller Records while I was still in college, the last semester before I dropped out, but excuse me. And she really came down hard on hip hop. She was like, oh, it's horrible, it's not art. And she was saying all these like uncanny things about the hip hop culture and generation. And so she definitely fueled my fire. But one thing I believe, the 360 deals, I think they're fair. They're somewhat fair, and I feel for labels, but it's sad to me that, you know, when an artist signs a record deal with a label and they record that album, the label owns that album forever. It's not like publishing where like publishing is statute of limitations. You guys know it's not, but from a publishing standpoint, 75 years after the publisher's death, the song goes back into the public domain. Correct, right? That's how it works usually.
Life plus 7,
yeah, life plus 70. Yes. So people have all these tricks they might put in their kid's name and stuff like that. That's why you may see that Puffy has his partner's coming, his youngest son's name at that particular time. But records, the physical record, that master's owned by the record label forever. Forever and a day. Think about Mozart. Think about Beethoven. The record's still, I don't know how that technically has been handled. I don't know who owns the master of that. I don't know about that. But I'm just saying, but theoretically, just think, if there was an Apple Records or, you know, Def Jam Records in the 1600s, 1500s, they would still have the ability to press and manufacture a record for the infinity. So I think it's kind of crazy that labels are operating on this whole fiscal quarterly system. I think it's kind of crazy, because I'm like, you sign Joe Blow artist and he records an album, you own it forever, and then you get mad because you're not making money fast enough. You know, and it's kind of crazy to me. But at the same point in time, you know, their rationale for 360 deals is the fact that they take part in spending millions of dollars on the artists and making the artists who they are. And the op-ed piece I wrote, I agree with that aspect. They do put money into it. But what I don't agree with them is I don't agree with the fact that I don't think they go I don't think they believe enough. You know, like for instance, this thing, Will Smith's the best example. I wanted to say in the article, hopefully it's not on the Channel 9 News, but I wanted to say in the article, and I kept hinting at it, that Jive f***ed up with Will Smith, because Will Smith, they saw outright the guy was a comic relief or a comedic, type of artist. And most of his successful songs, Parents Just Don't Understand, was a comedic, lighthearted song, and it worked. And the Parents Understand video and song made Will Smith a household name. I think he was the first artist to win a Grammy, the first rap artist to win a Grammy, I think. And if you look at the Parents Just Don't Understand video and look at the intro of the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, it's the same thing. They actually took the video and made that, the intro, of the TV show. It was one of the biggest TV shows ever. And his career started from that. And I'm like, Jive didn't cash in on that. But what I was saying is, like, I don't see how Jive in those days wasn't like, no, I'm going to get a piece of this. I'm going to invest. If I invested, the average marketing budget for any major recording artist on the urban side is easily $700,000. You can't get arrested with less than $700,000 in urban music. You're going to be competitive. I mean, there's some flukes every once in a while, but for the most part, I've promoted about 20 or 30 albums in my lifetime. I very seldom have I spent under $700,000. When you put in, marketing costs, meaning like advertising, tour support, stickers, flyers, merchandising, radio, radio help, what do you want to call it? I don't want to get in trouble. Radio help, video costs, all these things cost about $700,000. And I'm like, I don't understand how Jive built this guy's career off Parents Just Don't Understand and then had a TV show and they didn't get any of that. Like, so I thought that Jive made a mistake, but I just think that labels, if they sign an artist like a Beyonce, JayZ and Kanye and Will Smith, they should be invested in everything they do. But they should be, to me, labels should be more like banks. When that, if they believe in, they say this guy's talented. Wow, this guy really loves art. This guy's can really make the best videos, and he has such great vision of what needs to happen on the video set, and he can make movies later on. Wouldn't you want to invest in that guy's movie company? That's what my gripe is. With the labels, that they don't really invest in the artists as fast as they should. They kind of sit around and wait. And then when they sit around and wait and the artist is successful, they want to get money back. I'm like, I don't think it should kind of be that way. I think you should go in the gate saying like, here's a low interest rate loan that we're going to give you guys to invest in outside ventures. If it's up to me, I think labels should have less artists, but really invest in the artists. I think that's fair. I don't think it's fair to say, okay, I'm going to sign an artist, and I'm going to get 15% of their merchandising, 15%, of their touring, and you don't do anything to help them get on tour. Or you don't help their merchandising. I don't think that's fair.
But what about, you say, JayZ, like Rockefeller and Def Jam really helped him get to a level.
Yeah.
And then he went, okay, see ya, and he cashed out and went to Live Nation Records.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they invested all this money, did all the grassroots to get him to the level where he could make money beyond record sales through his merch and touring.
Yeah.
Then he went, goodbye.
And don't forget, the most successful clothing line, Rockaway, that's a merchandising company. It really is a big merch company. They just don't have his name on everything. But, I was there in the early days when Rockaway started, and I know Leo wish he can go back because Leo didn't want to give the $100,000. He probably didn't have the opportunity to even offer money for Rockaway, but JayZ and Dame put some of their own cash into Rockaway, the clothing line. And it sold for $56 million or something crazy like that. $150 million, something like that, like 3 years ago. They just, like I said, you got to believe. You're going to sign something, believe in it. Like, why would you sign an artist and don't believe in it? If I was, a record label owner, I would only sign things I really believed in. I would sign like maybe 2 artists a year, if that. But I would make sure that I'm investing in everything they do. I wouldn't ask them for money. I'd be giving them money. And I would make it a loan. That's what I would do.
Hip-hop since 1978, there's 3 of you guys that run the place.
But we have partners with Wayne Brian Entertainment, Cortez Bryant.
Right. Before I get into that, I just want, so there's three of you guys. It's you, Joshua, the hip hop, and G.
Yeah.
Now G's got a job at Atlantic.
Yeah.
He's the general manager of Urban.
He's like the president.
President of Urban something.
Some crazy fake title.
Okay.
President of rap music or something crazy. You know?
Hip hop up until recently ran Sony's Urban department until they had one of the many cutbacks.
Yeah.
So you got you who Rockefeller, you got guy at Atlantic, guy at Sony, and the three of you get together.
And I'm at Def Jam.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So
it happened by accident. I mean, really, it like, you know, well, they had signed Kanye. When I left Rockefeller to go to Elektra, they stood behind that Rockefeller, and they signed Kanye. So they had Kanye signed to a production company because Kanye really wanted to get off his existing management team at that point. He was like, man, I just want to really be down with you guys. I love JayZ. JayZ was his idol. He wanted to work with JayZ so bad. And so the idea that Hip Hop and G had was to create our own little Motown, our own little Hitsville environment.
So that was the blueprint.
Yes. So
Very,
Just
very
Blaze is
important.
also our client. Just Blaze is also a client of ours. Right. So we were all like, before I left, Hip Hop always say, man, we could just like take like 2 or 3 producers and like make them do all the production, you know. And that's how Death Row was too.
Right.
Most of the Death Row production was done by Corrupt and Dr. Dre.
Right.
And maybe another guy, you know. So we were trying to build that. And in trying to build that, you know, Just Blaze and Kanye became clients of ours, or there before I joined the company technically. And so that happened. And then when Hip Hop and Jesus felt like I want to spread my wings and grow, you know, and they left, you know, Rockefeller got left and went to Atlantic, it was already done. So Craig kind of had to like, I don't know, okay, I know you already have, you know, your company already. I'll honor that. So we had leverage. He couldn't talk us out. We already had it. No one's gonna give up what they have.
Back in the day, though, it was if you work for the man, that's what you do. You spend 100% of your time, and that's why I said I think it's now more an expectation that executives are able to do things like that. I mean, I think you bring. I mean, I think all three of you bring different things to the table that, you know, help those individual labels. Nonetheless, your artists.
Yeah, it's getting scary for me because I had dinner last night. I was telling you know, my wife and. Well, my wife knows it's a race. She's my wife, of course. But I was telling friends of ours, I was like, I really thought about, like, I'm getting down myself, but I'm working, like, from 10 to 1 to 2 a.m. every day, Monday through Friday. 10 a.m. to 2 a.m. I'm working, like, because, especially now, because we had, you know, when we first started, for years, we just had, it was Kanye. It was Kanye, and we had these label jobs, and we had a label deal through Atlantic, and they won't let us sign anything, but I'm not going to talk. Well, we signed SoundScan, so I can't say we didn't sign anything. But, you know, whatever. I'm not going to comment on that. That's another lecture. I'll tell you about the pearls of mergers of record labels later. But anyway, so we had Kanye for so many years that we was cool. And then the Wayne thing came, you know, not out of blue. It wasn't out of blue, but we didn't really know it was going to happen like that. It happened. The Wayne thing had fell into our laps. And then we was cool with that. And then that took a year for us to really get involved and get our, you know, get our hands
let's
dirty.
talk about that for a second. So, Wayne was part of the Hot Boys, which was a regional thing out of the Southeast that broke out of a video channel back then, The Box, and you had Slim and Baby who ran that label, and Wayne was like the young kid in the group.
He was the youngest one.
You know, there was a lot of other guys who went on. You know, Baby himself and
Manny Fresh and the guys.
And Manny Fresh provided all the beats and the music. And then, so a fellow named Cortez Bryant emerges.
Cortez and Wayne are like best friends since like elementary school.
So they're from the projects in New Orleans.
Yeah.
Okay.
And well, you want me to fill you in?
Please.
So
this is interesting to understand how Wayne just didn't pop overnight and start selling millions of records.
You know, he'd been recording for 12 years. He's been recording since
he was
like 12, 13 years old. He's been recording.
Cash Money Records.
Yeah, it saved his life in so many ways. Recording with Cash Money Records, and you know, when everyone else left, he kind of stayed. You know, and I guess he stayed a little out of like nepotism because I guess at this point Slim and Baby kind of like adopted him because you know in so many ways, you know, he looked up to him like a father. That became a problem at some point because, you know. That's how kind of we got involved and Cortez got involved because there was Wayne, I guess, you know, he was about to renegotiate his deal, and there was some discrepancies in what he was really owed, and you know, Ron Sweeney, which is our attorney, got involved, and they settled everything. Everything got settled at the end of the day. But it was at that point when Wayne was like, I'm a grown man, I gotta kind of like start doing my own thing too. I can't, you know, I gotta grow up, and I can't just, you know, live in the shadows of Baby and Slim forever. So he kind of took control of his own thing, got his own record label called Young Money about probably 4 years ago. And then that's when Cortez, he was like, you know, Cortez, you've been, you know, there for me. You know, Cortez is college educated. He was like, you've been there for me as a friend, and I want you to come work with me to help me build my own empire. And that's how Cortez got involved. And we got involved because Wayne had other managers in the past, and he just didn't feel like things didn't work out for various reasons, didn't work out. And hip hop, you know, and Wayne had really been tight over the years. And, you know, and you know, Wayne was like, hey, you know, if you guys want to come aboard, talk to Cortez about it. If Cortez is fine, I'm fine with it. And, you know, Cortez, Hip Hop, and they met. It took, you know, some while, but we all met, and we just clicked. And, we, you know, we worked together, and it's been great. And that's kind of how we got the Drake thing, how Drake came on the scene, because Cortez, you know, Wayne, actually Jay Prince, who's a industry vet from Rap A Lot Records, his son, you know, was a big Drake fan. And he kept telling Wayne, this guy's great, this guy's amazing, you gotta meet this guy. So Wayne said...
But Drake was a child TV star on a
from
Canadian TV
Toronto,
show
yes.
in Toronto. I mean, he's a mixed, he's half Jewish.
Yep.
And all of a sudden, and you guys get him a 7-figure deal.
It is a
bidding war, a 7-figure deal. And the guy had not released one official record. He had several mixtapes out. It's unprecedented.
Well, that's what I meant to say when I was saying about how I work from like 10, most days from 10 to 2 a.m. And that's what I respect about LA and Steve Balls enough. They realize that I live this. Like, I live the hip hop and the urban music sector. I live this. Like, just because I'm not a Def Jam, I mean I'm not working or doing stuff. Like, I can't escape this. You know, on the way over here, I was on the phone with, you know, Mark Cheatham, which is Justin Bieber and Usher's man, just explaining to him why Drake can't go on tour with Usher. You know, so like, I'm living it, but because I live in G lives and we all live it so much, we have all these tentacles all over the place. So I can kind of like make things happen, you know what I'm saying, for the greater good of what I'm invested in. And sometimes with, you know, with G and I getting the competitions between Atlantic and Def Jam, and sometimes he wins, sometimes I win. I'm trying to steal a group from him right now, but you know, so it gets funny sometimes. But like, because we're talking to everybody, we have a certain amount of leverage, you know, with the clients. And like, I don't do A&R. I'm a marketing person, promotion person by trade, more marketing promotion, but I understand promotion. I know who to hire. I mean, I know who to talk to help me. Anyway, but it's not. I think that Craig and Leo, they realize that when you truly live this and you're involved with all the conversations, whether it be touring or video directors or producers, you have a certain insight to what's really going on within the culture. And that's what it's about, you know, because the insight I have, I could use that to help the Def Jam artists, of course.
But trust.
Yeah.
That's a big thing, and particularly in business. And when you're talking $700,000 investment, you got to talk about Leor Cohn at Warner's or Craig Hellman, who works for them at Atlantic. They got to trust you guys.
Well, you know, it's funny because there was a time in hip hop where no one got along and everybody's beefing with each other, and we sold a lot more records in those days. But there was a time where like there was this whole like where it was my team against your team. But in the last, just think about it. All you hip hop fans out there, think about this. Just think of how cohesive things are nowadays. You have a couple flare-ups, you know, but for the most part, you know, the guys that are making the most money, most successful, I happen to, you know, deal with, even, you know, like I said, G, I think G's the center of hip hop right now because G announced T.I.'s album. You know, he's great friends with JayZ, you know, and he manages Wayne and, you know, and Kanye, and then you get Swagger Like Us. You know, and then, so that was last year's, that was 2 years ago, Grammys. And this year, he has a song, Forever, which is originally Drake's song. Kanye heard it, so I want to get on the record. So Kanye, it was just Kanye and Drake at one point. Then me and G had this meeting with Sprite about Drake's Sprite deal we had. We was like, well, when we used the song, they were like, oh, hell no, no way. We don't want to really deal with the Kanye thing. He was a Pepsi endorsee, and, you know, and we're not really sure if we want to deal with this. We want Drake by himself, and nah, matter of fact, we don't want the song anymore. Meanwhile, G was like, well, I'm about to. G said when Wayne heard it, he was like, nah, I won't be on the record. You can't be on. I want to be on that record too. So Wayne gets on the Forever record, and then G said, well, I'm gonna try to get Eminem on the record because T.I. was in jail. So he got Eminem on the record, and like once again, you have this force of nature, this collaborative, force, working for one purpose of hip hop, and it worked out. And Sprite changed their mind eventually, and it was like, oh, I guess you're right. And then when G and I were making campaign to get Drake on the Grammys, just so happens that that was a song they performed, was Forever. So now everyone looked good. So like now it's about, because we have resources outside the building, we can get people to do things within the culture to benefit everybody. I think everyone won with Swagger Like Us. JayZ won, T.I. won, everyone won. And I think people won with the Forever track. People won with that. And I think it's because of us having those other jobs that we had the leverage and the intel to make things happen for the greater good. And that's basically, how I summarize it.
So one of the things you guys do quite effectively is brand your artists with commercial products.
Yeah.
I mean, and I'm not talking just, low-end stuff. I mean, I'm talking about Louis Vuitton and Nike, Gatorade. How do you go about doing that? I mean, you got corporate America who, arm's length, hip hop and rap. Oh, I don't know,
Yeah, it's just hard because I try to the whole Sprite thing was so crazy, man. I was like, you guys are worried about what Wayne's gonna do. He has a court case. That ain't none of your business. I'm like, at the end of the day, the hip hop fans like Wayne, so the youth like Wayne. They bought 3.5 million albums. Like, you're so worried about someone tainting your brand. Like, who you think your consumers are? Okay, maybe the 48-year-old mom. I mean, I always joke in Def Jam about the cul-de-sac. I live in the cul-de-sac and way the out in Jersey. It's called Sparta. You probably never heard of the place before. Sparta, New Jersey. It's like half an hour from here. You know what I'm saying? I drive every day to New York, back and forth. Every night I go home. But so I always say, in the cul-de-sac, I say me all the time, the cul-de-sac, they like this. And I'm like, in the cul-de-sac, my neighbors, a couple of black people, mostly, predominantly white, they don't really care about Lil Wayne going to jail. The kids like it and they buy it, and it's so I'm like, you guys and these boards of Sprite and Pepsi and Coke are worried about what people are going to think of your brand. They're going to think your brand is cool because your brand respects art, and that's cool. And I think that we've kind of fought that fight, and we kind of broken through with that. The Kanye with Pepsi, a good friend of mine, Dan Sokoloff, he really came through for me on that because he believed in Kanye a long time ago, and he gave Kanye a shot.
So you went to Danny Sokoloff outside.
Well, once again, it just so happens that at that particular time, when this happened with Kanye's first album, we started the campaign. My former attorney went to work for Danny Sokoloff, and one of their biggest clients, Danny Sokoloff's company is called Mega Entertainment,
right.
And one of their biggest clients is Pepsi. And I was in Vegas, and I was like, Tia, yo, you gotta give Kanye a chance. And I took her to lunch and just beat her down. She's like, okay, I'll try. She went in and told Danny, and Danny was like, you know what? I think you're right. I'm gonna try this thing. And he went to Pepsi headquarters, and they just said, okay, we give him a shot. And they gave him a shot, and that's how that happened. And the Louis Vuitton thing is because Kanye this is a fashion. I don't know what the word for it. Many words to describe it, but he loves fashion, and Louis Vuitton meant a lot to him, and he called himself a Louis Vuitton Don on a couple of his mixtapes. So he just adopted that because it rhymed with Kanye and Don, whatever. So he just coined himself that, and he started meeting them in Paris and stuff and talking to them, and he would say stuff for them. And Don C, which is our other partner. He's like, our unofficial partner. He's like, I call Don C the MVP because Don's like technically Kanye's road manager, but he's like everything for us and everybody in between. He's a link. He's with Kanye every single day. He's the one that got arrested with Kanye at the little ruckus they got into at the airport at LAX. But anyway, they kept following up with people from Louis Vuitton. They'd meet them at a party, like, no, give me your card. And they would follow up with them and go meet them. And Kanye would come to their office and meet with them, for years in Paris. And, I'll go meet with you. And when Kanye wants something, he just doesn't stop. He would go meet with these people and take them out and make them feel good and really be in tune. Like, yo, what's Louis Vuitton doing? And it got to a point where, like, Louis Vuitton said, okay, well, I guess I guess you really want this, we'll give you a shot. And then we did the album release party at the flagship store on Fifth Avenue, and nothing really got broke, and they were happy. And then Kanye ran to Murakami and this stuff Murakami, and I guess Louis Vuitton finally realized this guy's really serious, and they gave us the opportunity for the sneaker deal that he did with Louis Vuitton, and Nike got pissed off, but Nike thing was a charity event. It was I spend a lot of time on the phone. This is what G doesn't really do in hip hop. I spend a lot of time on the phone. Once the deal is kind of like almost made, dealing with the attorneys, going back and forth on both sides, trying to negotiate these deals, negotiating. It's interesting because, the lawyers in these companies, they really get it. They're trying to make the deal happen, but it's all these boards these companies have that always have the reluctance, and it's just about being persistent, I guess. Hip hop is just really in the forefront. I think hip hop is growing up. It's 30 years old now, plus, and I think. Maybe 20 years ago, it was such an underground thing, but now it's like rock and roll is growing up, and you have, this different, people from hip hop fans from 10 to 50 now.
Right.
One of the tools of hip hop's trade, mixtapes.
Yeah.
Pretty controversial. Now you're on sort of both sides of the fence on that, I would assume, because you got the management and you got the record label.
It's just a don't ask, don't tell type thing. That's what it really is. Everyone knows it. People like keep my name off of it. We try to figure out ways every day to make mixtapes and labels and maybe call a T-shirt budget. We always seem to figure it out. I think mixtapes are good because I think it allows the artists to really express themselves without no pressure. That you can't really because the mixtape thing you can't really. SoundScan is to hold everything up. It's right up. This whole thing where people want to see how many records you sold the first week or the last week or the 6 weeks, it's a research tool, but it's a research tool going public. It's like, you guys watch Dave Chappelle show back in the days? It's like when Keeping It Real goes wrong. That's, it's like that thing. It's like, if no one knew what this meant, people wouldn't make their lives, but everyone just, so what happened was because artists were so afraid to be judged by SoundScan, they started making mixtapes. And for the most part, it benefited a lot of people. It benefited Wayne. To me, that was a turning point in Wayne's career because when Wayne said the comment about best rapper alive to JayZ and JayZ got offended, he had to go prove it. So he made about 600 songs on mixtapes and put them out in like a year and a half, and he just proved it. Proved it to himself enough to be in contention. And I think it helped him. Young JayZ, he's got probably one of the best mixtapes ever released. His mixtape's better than most people's albums. Trap or Die, the first one was amazing. And sometimes the mixtapes are songs that's from the album. This didn't make a cut, didn't make the cut. Because there are some artists out here who make concept albums, like kind of like a Pink Floyd type thing, or, where they make concept albums. Kanye's very much like a concept album. So he might make a song that is great, but he's like, it don't fit with the concept of the album. So what do? Do you trash it forever and put it in the shelf, or do you say, okay, I'm gonna do a collection of these songs that don't fit the album concept and my favorite songs I like, and this is my version of that song that I love, and that's how it started. People just want to express themselves and want to prove themselves, but in the very it's kind of like my partner hip hop said a great quote. He said artists have to have a good off season, in the preseason. So it's off season, preseason, season. The off season is after the albums come out and you did your tour or whatever you did, and your album sales are pretty much flat. It's ran its course. That's your off season. So what do you do in your off season? Do you collaborate with more artists? Well, in your off season, do you make mixtapes in your off season to prove how good you are? In the preseason, it's like right before your album comes out, the stuff you're doing around that, the really hype for the anticipation for the album. And I think mixtapes are like an off season tool. It's also a training camp tool. Some people who don't get drafted need to go to training camp and prove themselves. Almost every artist I ever worked with got rejected. JayZ got rejected tons of times. Ruben Rodriguez rejected JayZ. They all get rejected. So mixtapes become like a training camp to prove yourself. You might get invited, to see what you can do, and that's what they do. So it's just like a good exercise, a good marketing tool. I don't know if to me, there's a way to make them legal. The biggest problem is time. I just don't think that artists just get so excited when they make music, they want it out right away. They don't want to wait and give the legal time. Like, if you bought me a mixtape today and I had a month to clear the songs, I could probably clear all these songs. It's like Kanye probably was the first rapper to me that ever did a legal mixtape song where he did a remake of Throw Some D's, which is a Rich Boy song. He made it, Throw Some D's, was about breast implants, and he shot a video for it, and Jimmy Iovine said, cool, I love it, let it roll. It just so happened to happen that, it worked out for him, but most artists don't have the patience to like submit the song for clearance, get the song cleared. And because a lot of times it's like multiple writers, because they may take Kanye may take a Lil Wayne song and make that his own song, or he may take a song, he might sample a record that can't be cleared. For years, even Gold Digger had hell getting cleared because the Ray Charles estate didn't want to clear it. So it's really hard to make mixtapes because the timing is off. By the time you clear everything, the song probably is not hit no more.
Well, I think certain rap songs are probably a lot like produce. I mean, there's a freshness essence to it. And so you made an interesting comment about SoundScan almost being the killer.
Yeah.
And I remember working with Def Jam and Lior. He would have Julie really make sure that they would front load all these releases, because the analogy was the first week SoundScan for a hip hop record is like the opening of a box office for a movie.
Yeah.
And so you said people judge it. So how do you circumvent that? I don't know if you saw the article, the manager of Cheap Trick, the rock band, he just told them, I'm not putting barcode, I don't want you to SoundScan what I sell.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Yeah.
I just want to super serve my fan base. But it does put an additional pressure on the artist.
It does.
If Wayne doesn't sell, a million records the first week, he's over. He's failed.
Yeah.
And so how do you manage that? Or do you guys, obviously you guys are playing the game, so you have to front load and get involved with that. I'm sure
I just think we're in a fortunate situation in the company. We're a young company, and our clients are still, peaking and going towards their peak. And I think we're fortunate enough to not have the same amount of pressures as I have inside the company. Like my clients are okay, but maybe clients that I market may have, need to prove themselves the first week of SoundScan. And that's the challenge. It's like, maybe Fabulous may need to come in number one because maybe they don't really know if they're gonna be able to keep the momentum going. But my clients with JayZ, I know that without SoundScan, I'm gonna do this trick, and that trick. I could do that. It's not the same amount of pressure on me. But I believe with JayZ, we all want to do well, but it's just corrupted because what it does is it takes the wind out of a lot of artists' sales. Look at a guy like Wale who, really had a pretty good album, and I think the SoundScan has really hurt his feelings and just turned his whole project around because he wanted to sell. And it's like, it's sad because I believe, there's one thing LA told me, and I try to take good quotes from everybody I meet, interact with, mogul or non-mogul, but he said, you have to be a starving artist. And I think a lot of artists don't want to be starving artists anymore. And no matter what your SoundScan does, you still have your plan of attack, and it shouldn't affect your SoundScan. It shouldn't affect whatever your SoundScan number shouldn't affect your plan of attack. You should have a plan of attack that should not be changed because of your SoundScan number.
But you pointed out earlier in the discussion that the record companies are messed up because they do quarterly budgets.
Yeah, it's crazy, man.
So if they expect one of your artists to sell X amount of units, and first week SoundScan doesn't come or live up to that number, then that project's not going to generate the amount of income they thought it was, and then that screws up their whole budget because they were going to use part of that profit to help launch someone else.
But I think that's a mistake we make all the time. I think it comes to having a really good, solid marketing plan, knowing your market. I have an artist that I'm working with Chris Smith, who manages Name Furtado and has a record label, and I'm working with an artist called Jenna Andrews, who I really believe in, and we're taking our time and having a real strong plan. I don't think, to me, it's like you have to believe. If you believe this project, this artist is going to be what it is, you have to be able to set aside a certain amount of money and say, this is my investment, and I'm not going to touch this investment. It's like they say you're supposed to save 10% of your salary and don't touch it for no reason. That's what you have to do with these artists. But that's why I say you can't sign 1,000 artists, man. There's only sign, 200 artists instead of 1,000 artists you sign a year, theoretically. But I just think it shouldn't affect. I think that's going to fall back on the manager. And that's part of being a manager that I like, because management going back to the Drake, I'm not talking about the Drake thing, how we got Drake up to that big deal was because we took matters into our own hands.
Yeah, let's talk about Drake.
You know, we took matters in our own hands because, you know, thank God, me working with Kanye and Wayne and being the record executive and knowing everybody on MTV, blah, 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 like me and G and Cortez, we had all the connections that record labels have. We are a small record label in a sense. So when it came to Drake, we was like, it's something we believed in. The Drake story really is, you know, he did a couple of mixtapes before he met Wayne. Met Wayne, did another mixtape, did another amazing mixtape, put the mixtape out on his own. I didn't even know about the thing was even out. I have friends who love Drake and love Kid Cudi before I even knew who Kid Cudi and Drake were. You know, and I worked on the Kid Cudi project too. But hold on, let me not digress. But let me start with Kid Cudi first, because Kid Cudi came before the Drake project. What happened with Kid Cudi was, you know, Pat, which is Kanye's A&R and co-producer, loved Kid Cudi. It was kind of incestuous because A-Track was Kanye's DJ, had found Kid Cudi and did stuff with Kid Cudi. And they had a personal falling out, and somehow Pat loved Kid Cudi and loved the mixtape. So Pat was trying to get Kid Cudi signed, no one was really biting. But Kid Cudi had a song out called Day and Night, and that he believed in. So one day Kanye was like, I love this song a lot. So Kanye was like, yo, Al and G, you know, can you guys help me? You know, get the record when it's I really believe in the song, can you guys help me? I was like, fine. So, you know, I do necessary things of marketing and promotions to get this song on the program director's radar. It gets on their radar. And it just took off. And then he had a bidding war, he wound up signing to Motown. And then like a month and a half later, Drake comes. And he had a great mixtape. And I started getting all these phone calls like, hey, you know, I love Drake mixtape. I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm like, gee, some of these mixtapes, I don't know what people even call me about. So I get the mixtape, like, wow, this mixtape's amazing. I'm like, this is one song on this mixtape that's really good. I think it's a pop smash. Best ever had. They was like, really? I was like, Drake, this record is a pop smash. Trust me when I tell you this. He was like, okay, whatever you say. He didn't believe me. And then weeks later, I'm getting phone calls for programmers saying, yo, I really like this Drake record. Oh, you got another one? I'm like, give me another one. I'm like, no, like it's a mixtape. It's a mixtape. You know, that's not what I want his first single to be. I'm working on a new song for you. I was trying to hold back programs from adding Best Ever Had because I was super self-conscious of Best Ever Had. I thought that Best Ever Had would be misinterpreted to be like a love song and make him look soft and make her his project from getting a fair look. You know, I didn't want people to think of him a light-skinned pretty boy, you know, singing to girls. I want him to have that credibility of being a rapper first who can make these various types of songs. And I tried to fight, man. I was holding people off, and a couple of my good friends, program was like, look, man, I'm adding this record tomorrow, so if I don't have a record by Friday, Monday is going in. I could never get the record, so it would start going in. And then when it went in, I started chasing it. Or I was working at Def Jam at this particular point, but I was like, I had to chase the records. I had to call my helpers to help me, you know, spread the record to other places, and that's what happened. But it could never happen that easy without the Cudi, because the Cudi thing happened when it died down. Certain programs had known that I was behind the Cudi thing, and they came to me right away like, we got another record. So it just helped me. The momentum was carried over, shifted over. And then, you know, and so then once it started, we got kind of on the high. We didn't want to stop. We was like, well, we'll shoot a video for it. you know, what's going on tour? You know, like we was like, well, we don't need that. We good. We don't need that right now. We feel okay. Let's put up on iTunes through TuneCore. We just kept rolling with it, you know, and it just kept doing better and better. And every label was trying to get involved, but it was crazy because, you know, Drake was like, my allegiance is to Wayne. Like, I'm not signed paperwork-wise, but that's my guy. I'm gonna go where Wayne wants me to go. And Wayne was like, I really want you to come to Cash Money. So that was how it happened, but Cash Money had to pay more than they, you know, normally would pay for a new artist. That's kind of how it happened. I guess to really get into in depth, Steve, is that we had the connections through our record label and through our management skills to go straight to the head of class in every format, whether it be a program director or whether it be Stephen Hill. You know, we got him a BET performance on the BET Awards, which is unheard of for a new artist. He signed his contract on that day with Cash Money. You know, I guess we had the juice, you know, and people looked out for us. So.
And then the deal with Drake, with Motown and Universal fighting internally.
Yeah, you're not supposed to know about that.
Oh, okay. All right, we won't talk about that.
Yeah, I received several phone calls about that.
Okay. What about in 2010? What's the value of music video? Because back in the day, MTV and BET actually showed videos.
You know, there's a good friend of mine, Kelly G at BET. I used to call him and berate him for half an hour on the way home. Like, you guys suck. You don't support videos anymore. You don't play videos anymore. I'm not getting my art for the BET Awards. Y'all. I just be this. He's my friend, so I just vent on him. I vented on him, and I also vented on another friend of mine, Whitney Benter from MTV. Vented like, I'm sick of you guys always asking me and you don't play no damn videos, and I want something to be back the way the old times were. Play some videos. I can sell records again. You know, when I was at Rockefeller Records, I started making $200 a week. You know, when JayZ sold 5 million records, I was probably making $70,000 a year. You know. So I didn't really get the cut I deserved out of it. Now I'm like, I get the bigger cut. We'll sell 5 million records again. I can make a lot of money and sell 10 million records again, but that's never going to happen on any single artist. No, I don't think any single artist ever sold 10 million albums again. I think it's just impossible based on just the way music and technology has evolved. I think just the album format and the CD format is just, you know, eroding. But I think thanks to technology and digital technology, music is more prevalent in people's lives than ever. It's more accessible than ever. But
so what's a fair budget for a music video in 2010?
I don't know, man. You know, I often argue with Kanye about this. I always say, you know, that his cheapest videos get the best response. His least expensive videos get the best responses. But he don't believe me. He just doesn't want to believe me. He just does what he wants to do anyway. I don't know. It's interesting. It's like videos are important. You know, I had a call with World Star Hip Hop the other day. It's interesting because a former executive friend of mine, you know Kevin Black. Kevin Black used to be
Interscope.
Yeah, he's been at Interscope. He helped start Death Row. Yeah, right. He's now the president of World Star Hip Hop, and to me, it's like. Videos are important. I don't know. I'm not quite sure the role that BET and MTV are playing, the role of videos anymore. I'm not really sure. But online, they're massive. Vivo is going to have an influence. Vivo will take the stage.
Everybody know what Vivo is?
YouTube has broken several artists. I mean, I've been having a little debate with an artist on a Def Jam about a particular song. He has a song out that he swears a hit. I'm like, I'm looking on YouTube, your stats ain't there, homie. This shit don't lie. Numbers don't lie. If it was a hit, your numbers would be, you have Lil Wayne, your numbers would be up. You know, I was like, come on, man, seriously. But he's so caught up in the creativity, and I'm like, yeah, but you understand as an artist now, you don't have the control you had before. You know, when MTV and BT was at their peak MTV 50 spins a week, that meant you could change the world. If MTV said number one was the shit, number one was the shit. You can't do anything about it. You know what I'm saying? But nowadays, the fans, they can't be brainwashed anymore. They like what they like, and they vote. YouTube is voting. They can say, this is what I like. iTunes is the vote. You know, it's like, you can't deny that. And so I think videos just like, they better be good. You know, they better be good.
And yet, well, there's a difference there. Well, before Wayne went away, he shot maybe about a dozen videos.
Yeah, he shot a bunch of stuff. How you know this stuff, man? You know some things. I would get you on my side.
There's no side.
I'm scared of you, Steve. You know too much stuff, man. No. But no, he shot a lot of videos. It's I'm keep trying to answer the question. I think unless you have a really good concept, videos shouldn't cost more than $25,000.
When was the last hip hop video you made for $25,000?
Throw Some D's, Kanye's version was made for $10,000. I just made Jenna Andrews' video for $10,000. We made 25. I'm trying to think.
Drake's not making any $25,000 videos.
Oh yeah, he should know. He's not gonna make it. No, not yet. We were gonna do that, but we couldn't. It's a song on Drake's mixtape. I don't know if you guys have it. There's a song that my wife loves. This song. It's called Houston, Atlanta, Vegas Hoes. She loves the song, and we was like, man, I got great treatment for the song. We couldn't figure out the lead. We couldn't figure out a girl to represent this, but it was gonna be a down dirty cheap video, like a one-take video. We couldn't figure it out. Who the star, but we definitely approached it. It has to be the right song. It has to be for the right reason, you know. It's weird. I just spent like $250,000 on the last Drake video, the Over video, cost $250,000. I think, I don't, no comment. I think it could be enough for cheaper. But it's good, it's great video. It made the song better.
Video budgets have exceeded the recording costs. I mean, when you say 700,000,
Yeah.
I mean, you do 2 or 3 of those big videos.
That's what it's coming down to. I mean, we're operating, you know, I try to people all the time, you know, because like in my situation, working at a label and being a senior vice president of marketing, I see a lot of numbers. And when I was at Columbia, they were really, really honest about their numbers. Like it was a numbers-driven company, you know, and they didn't hide it at all. And I'm like, damn, it's a lot of money we spend on these videos and this feed. We gotta get some of these fees down. But at the same point in time, it's art. And if the artist feels that he needs to represent himself, you know, I think it's gotta be a fair compromise. You can have some expensive videos and have some low budget videos. I think it's gotta be a compromise.
So let's segue to Erykah Badu.
Yes.
Okay, so she made, how many of you have seen that Erykah Badu video? You all need to go check it out and see what she's up to.
By the way, that video was directed by longtime friends of Kanye's, collaborators. They directed the Through the Wire video.
You guys got your tentacles in that one too.
I don't have anything. I know them. I don't have anything to do with it. But that video cost a lot of money. Did it cost a lot of money?
I don't know, but that video has definitely stirred up a lot of talk and discussion. And Erykah Badu, who has had some crazy whacked records, all of a sudden is at the top of the buzz pile. Everybody's talking about that video, and now she's gotten. I guess they want to fine her for public nudity or something.
Of course, it's worth it. I'm sure a label will pay for that.
Right, but she's got huge buzz on that.
Yeah.
So now there's a video that, unless I'm wrong, I'll
Sex
never see him.
sells.
Sex sells.
It's interesting because she's a very wily cat. She's wily.
Right,
She's you know, she's never been about. She's always done a good job of hiding her shape. She has a really nice shape. She has done a good job of hiding her shape for years, and finally, 14 years later, she comes out and shows bears it all.
Right.
It's pretty interesting, but. You know, I think it's about, like I said, it's about the creativity of the video. I just think that you don't have to spend millions and millions of dollars to make a creative video. You know, OK Now or OK Ready was
OK Go.
OK Go. Yeah, it's on treadmills. You know what I'm saying? You know, the first Through the Wire video cost $35,000 for Kanye, his first video. You have to just think. You know, you have to think about it, put some energy. But like I said, artists, a lot of times, artists just don't have the owner mentality a lot of times. They have a real worker, I want to say slave, but I won't go that far like Prince did, but they have a real mentality like they're getting over on the label sometimes, and they don't understand that at the end of the day it's all your shit. It affects the universe. If artist A does something and loses, it affects artists A through Z. And I don't think they understand that sometimes. They don't really realize that, you know, that you want to hype Williams video just because of hype Williams. There's no shortcuts. No. You know, and a lot of artists I've dealt with, you know, on the management side, or, you know, they try to find shortcuts. And there's no shortcuts. So I think Erykah found a shortcut, but it wasn't a typical shortcut you would think of her. You know.
So you mentioned your wife, you're married. Mm-hmm. So where do you see the role? I mean, how does hip hop, hip hop's been criticized a lot for the way they portray women. Where do you guys, 3 of you guys, your company, how do you deal with that? Because
we don't even deal with that. We care less about that. I'm just keeping it real. That never comes in our conversations.
but when you have an artist that comes to you and wants to have, you know, scantily clad women and you know and the visuals in there, I mean, is that?
I don't. You know, I'm a father. I have 2 daughters, a 14-year-old, and I have a 16-month. I have another daughter in August. I don't really. I mean, I watched Oprah a couple weeks ago. They said women love porn as much as men. It's weird. Women don't mind seeing other women naked. Men mind, but women don't mind that. It's a weird thing. Who am I to rob, every one of naked people? I mean, if they want to have naked women, then what can I? I mean, I wouldn't have, I wouldn't condone any of my clients, disrespecting a woman that, peeing on or defecating a woman in the video. I wouldn't go that far. I wouldn't go into those type of fetishes. I wouldn't let them do that. My artists don't get that far. They're not that crazy yet. But I don't know. I don't really think about that much. It never really crossed my mind. I mean, I don't think we've ever, like, for instance, like, there was a big, this is funny, I stole this. There was, so Kanye directed and paid for Some of the Best I Ever Had video that Drake shot. And he directed the video. I liked the video. All of a sudden, it came out and press started having a heart attack about it. It made Drake feel funny. I said, why are you feeling funny, man? We like the video. Don't let this affect you like you're an artist. You wasn't trying to disrespect the woman. It's actually a funny video. But you can't let a couple of people, dictate how you feel about something or misconstrue your intentions. It's going to be a tongue-in-cheek video. I mean, I don't understand why other people can do things and people laugh at it, but when a rapper does something, all of a sudden, oh my God, it's such a bad thing. I don't understand why that happens all the time to rappers.
Rap is a unique, I think it's one of the true indigenous cultures that is uniquely American.
Yes, and jazz.
And jazz, and there's a
Yeah.
connection there,
Yeah.
for sure. So rap has, there's some people who are saying that rap's peaked, or rap has now been reduced to regionalization. Where do you see rap's role right now overall?
I think rap in its truest essence should be regional at first and grow from a region. I think I'm anti-popular rap from the start. I think an artist has to be the best rapper in their house, their block, their neighborhood, their borough, they say you get it until you become national. I don't think you should jump on the scene with a big rap record at first. I tease LA all the time, and a coworker of mine has walked in, Steve, on Carlos, and we talked about it today. I hate contrived rap that was made to get radio play. And that's why I fought so hard against Best I Ever Had. I felt that he'd be I felt people would think it was too contrived, and I was really afraid of it. But thank God he had the mixtapes in there to give him that validity, and he kept working. But I think all music is going to like a difficult stage. It's more popular than ever, but it's just you don't see the direct sales of MC sales. Taylor Swift sold 4 or 5 million records, but she's 2 genres. She's pop and she's country at the same time. That means almost every white teen in America likes her. You know what I'm saying? Your country or your pop. Like, she got the best of both worlds. So, it's like she figured out a way to merge those two things. I feel bad for her. I feel the pressure they put on that girl is like tremendous. I feel like giving her that Grammy may have really, really, really f***ed her career up. I really believe that.
Yeah. And what about the homogenization of rap, or the assimilation of it? I mean, it seems, the internet has made it so widespread, and you're right about the regionalization, but is there even the time for a regional rap song or rap artist to develop before it immediately spreads like wildfire on the internet, and then there's no opportunity for its growth? And then you throw in a kid like Justin Bieber, who has got Ludacris all over his record. I mean, it just seems rap. I'm waiting for a country artist. Well, they are. It was the Rappin' Duke, the country artist. It's like it's been assimilated everywhere. So
Toe Down, you never heard him before, right?
Pardon?
Toe Down. You never heard him before, did you?
No.
He was signed to Elektra. He's a country rap artist.
Well, it was the Rappin' Duke. It was the first guy, the Rappin' Duke. That was even before.
Yeah, that was pretty fun. He was really country artist?
No, but he was doing a John Wayne.
Yeah, the hard. Yeah, I remember that. I was pretty young.
So what happens to rap when it gets assimilated like that and diluted?
Gucci Mane, Waka Flocka Flame. Waka Flocka Flame is interesting. I grew up with his uncles. I didn't realize this. His uncles. I grew up with his uncles. But that movement. They created a movement. Her name is Deb. Deborah Anthony, which manages, used to manage Gucci Mane, Nicki Minaj, and Waka Flocka Flame, and also OJ Juice Man. That's regional rap at its best. But what happens is you keep knocking on the door, and no one's home, and eventually you keep knocking on that door, someone's going to answer. They're sick of the noise. And that's what happened with JayZ. It happened to almost everybody except for Puffy, but it happened for JayZ, happened for Nas to a certain extent, and I think the regional rap is a great thing. I think that's how it's supposed to be. You have to pay your dues.
Right.
If you're not regional at first, people not saying like, oh, you haven't heard this song about this guy before, I think you're doomed for failure. And that's why I was really afraid with Drake, to start like, man, I don't people think this guy came out of nowhere, because he kind of did, but then he didn't. He pays his dues to a certain extent, but I think Drake's gonna be the next Will Smith. I think at some point he could probably, I think he's the next Will Smith. I really think that. I think he's a phenomenal actor. You guys are gonna see real soon. He's gonna transition well, and I just think that most artists don't have the ability to transition the way he can transition, or even Justin Bieber. I think Justin Bieber's like in the office, it's Bieber mania. But Justin Bieber, when I was on the phone with Mark Cheatham, Justin Bieber's agent, we was talking about Bieber, and I was like, he's like, I just don't understand why doesn't radio embrace him? I said, Mark, I asked the radio staff the same thing, and they told me that at this point in his career, Bieber's very polarizing.
Right.
Because you have people, everyone in this room probably thinks he's just a teen heartthrob phenomenon. He's a cute kid who just sings these songs and he gets over. But no, he's not. That kid's he plays guitar. That kid's like a child prodigy.
Yep, drums, piano.
He plays all these instruments, but no one knows that yet. And that's when I said LA is the best of this shit. But LA's made this last album he made can appeal to like 8 to 80. He made songs that can appeal to older people. We fight in the office all the time what's to be the next single, and the fortunate song I like is a song that's like a Motown song, and those songs like an early Michael Jackson song. Those will probably never be singles, because that's not really the demographic he's shooting for, but it's the respect factor that he's gonna have to gain. And I told Mark Cheatham, I said, the minute that people get the album and realize, or he has that oh wow moment, whether it be performing the Grammys with kind of the Jonas Brothers. The Jonas Brothers, to me, I didn't believe in them, but when I saw them performing the Grammys with Stevie Wonder, I was like, man, these kids are really good. Like, you couldn't deny that. So I think in music, you're always looking for that oh wow factor, like, oh wow, I didn't know factor. But as a manager in the company, we have to time that better. Like I was telling the company once, I said, I think Rihanna's sad that no one thinks this girl can sing, because she really can sing. You know what I'm saying? She has a certain tone, but she can sing, but no one really realizes that. Because the songs she sings, people don't realize that she's, what she can do. And you take for granted, but having a great tone is better than having great range. Because people know it's you when you sing. Like Leona Lewis, you can't tell Leona Lewis song you hear it. You don't know. She sings good, but you don't know exactly as her. But you know Rihanna when you hear Rihanna. Like, even Madonna. Right. She made songs, Lady Gaga made songs her own. So, like, I think hip-hop, I think regional is good. Because they have to make stuff sound, you have to know that, oh, this person's from this region, that's why they sound that way. And incidentally, when I went to Toronto for the first time, I was on a panel and I asked them, why Toronto rappers were so infatuated with New York City, and they was like, because it's the closest thing to us. I was like, that makes sense. So it is geographical. And they was like, a lot of people in Toronto have family in Brooklyn, and they travel back and forth to New York all the time. That's why in New York, they feel like they're in the backyard of New York City. That's why Drake rhymes the way he rhymes, because he feels like he has to impress New Yorkers.
You mentioned Mark Cheatham. He's one of the agents who handles a lot of hip-hop, obviously. So let's talk about it just for a second. I mean, you guys were responsible for putting hip-hop on the map as a lucrative part of the touring business. Mm-hmm. What did you guys do that had not been done before? Well,
Leo was responsible for that. Fresh. I'm going to get in trouble. Leo did Fresh first.
Okay, but you guys made the top-grossing tour.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think Kanye was the one who really like made hip hop touring, helped it grow, because he took a very artistic approach to it with the sets and the stuff going on and the thematic stuff, happening. That was his thing. For he's a very successful touring artist too. I mean, he didn't make what Wayne made. He didn't tour as long as Wayne did. But hopefully we could do. Hopefully this tour cycle we do that. And Wayne's theory was, Wayne. I mean, you guys been to Wayne's show. Wayne has raw energy. I mean, the guy has energy like a mother. I mean, this guy gets on stage and he's doing push-ups and he's running from side to side, bouncing off the walls, doing kicks in the air and shit. Like, you know. And then he did that, and we also put together like a really good package around him. We try to break it down from a regional standpoint. That's what we did. We was like, okay, you know what? Soulja Boy has this demographic. You know, you think like Wayne has every hip hop demographic, but Soulja Boy has the ringtone rap young girl demographic. Right. Then JayZ has, you know, the down south. We call it the D-boys, the down south dudes that really love just hardcore rappers. JayZ and JayZ and Wayne are their favorites. That's it. No one else. Kanye, okay, he's okay on most days, but that's what those guys like. And then we had, you know, the R&B, up and coming R&B guys, the Heartthrobs with Pleasure P and Jeremiah. So what we try to do is we try to get a full gamut of, you know, of the rap or the urban, you know, population, and we try to give a sliver from each of those walks of life. And I think that's why I told is successful. And I think it comes down to the region again. It's a regional cultural genre because there are many genres within hip hop. There's several genres within hip hop. I know that doesn't make any sense literally, but there's different types of hip hop that's out there, right. You know. But the key is the challenge for Gucci Mane and Waka Flocka Flame. The Gucci Mane song Usher out, it was horrible. It was a big mistake he ever made in his career. I knew I said, this is trash. I knew it was a mistake. Didn't do anything on the radio, didn't help us sell any records. If you would have came with the Lemonade song, if you would have came with Lemonade, you gotta be true to yourself. You can't just start making songs with R&B artists singing any damn song you want. You know what I'm saying? You can't do that all the time. You know, and a lot of times, you know, experience is the best teacher. We did that before with JayZ. Almost ruined this guy's career. You know, we were all co-signing. I was in the studio when JayZ made the song with Babyface on the second album. You know, I was co-signing. Yeah, it's a great record. You, Terry Riley, great record. You know, sing the Gwen Fry sample of You Belong to the Sea. Sing it. It's a great song. I was there. So I know what it means to try to take a shortcut and it doesn't work out. You know, but because he made those mistakes, we kind of can make less of those things over again. And that's how it boils down to me. That's how I understand it to be.
I'm sure some of you might have some questions. Anybody out there want to take advantage of Al's brain? Yes, sir.
What are some more of the key points of the new school of artist development that you and your partners are pioneered? Like you mentioned, the moment of timing when you discover if an artist has hidden talents or something like that. Are there different stages of the process that you've devised that are working now in pop music?
Give me like an example, like just make something up so I can.
The process, like this new school kind of process. Like you sign 2 artists a year, and you invest X amount of money in them, and then you. Oh well,
yeah. Well, one thing I think every artist needs a big brother. You know, everybody they need a good cosign. You know, a reputable cosign that can cosign them and let them grow. You know, like if Kanye wasn't on Rockefeller Records, would he have been as big as he was if he wasn't later JayZ? Probably not. It's real. So they need the proper cosigns, 1, and 2, they need to really find their niche, what they do best. You know, it's like one of my mentors, Charles Dixon, said to me a long time ago. He was actually the guy interning for now, working with Ruben. Yeah, he said, man, he said rappers are like superheroes. If you're Spider-Man, don't come with no flash. Just throw your webs, do your Spidey shit, and you know you might get the black. You know, you might Spider-Man went from the red and blue to the black. You know, costume or whatever you want to call it, uniform at some point. But that shit it's a gradual thing. You can't just tomorrow be like, oh, I'm this now. You know what I'm saying? Like, no, you know, don't be trying to, you know, stop what Spider-Man, Superman. Don't be flying like that. Just do what you do as Spider-Man. Use your webs and shit. And I think that's what artists have to do. You kind of like make your mark and be good at that.
Idea strengths.
You know, yeah. And we try to to ask your question. We try to figure out what it is that each client does best, and make them focus on that as they gradually transition to other, you know, other expressions of music.
Anyone else? Oh,
Yeah.
sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, you're saying how you feel that like hip hop artists should like develop, vocally, like they should be, I guess, like a scene. You know what I'm saying? Like how they should, you're saying that they should go up they should blow up small and get bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And regionally.
Mm-hmm.
Like what if your music type doesn't really have a like how do you develop artists? Like what do you say to artists? Like we live right next to New York, right?
Yeah.
So I guess our region will be New York.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Everybody comes from all over the world to compete in New York. So it's kind of like, should an artist try and develop in New York if they're from this region, or should they go to the Midwest, develop there? Where, you know what I'm saying? Like, because there's so much competition.
I mean, but at some point you gotta be the best in your region. At some point it's gonna come back to that. You may not catch you at first, but at some point they're gonna say, "Who the hell knows this kid from Patterson, New Jersey? I don't know who that guy is." And at some point, if you can't go home, the validity's gonna kick in at some point. But if you are from New Jersey, you know what I'm saying, and you are less New York, just make sure you put the Jersey stuff in your rhymes. Reference New Jersey. Like you don't have to just sell out after you grew up in Queens. If you grew up in Patterson, keep it real. Like even the artists from Wayne. One thing about Dre, you can't say he kept it real. He said I'm from Toronto. He never denies that. Wayne still talks about New Orleans. Kanye still talks about from Chicago and what he went through. Ludacris still talks about, these guys, they're very honest and they're very vulnerable. Another thing in hip hop, and this is not a lot of things hip hop artists don't understand, the reason why I think Tupac is the greatest rapper ever is because Tupac to me was the most vulnerable rapper ever. You really knew everything about him. Tupac fans are kind of like Beatles fans or Grateful Dead fans. They're really fans. Most Tupac fans don't like anyone else because no one else could compare Tupac in terms of the vulnerability he had. You know what I'm saying? Make a song about Dear Mama, make a song You Got Me Trapped, and go on to another song like I Get Around. He wasn't afraid to express every human emotion. A lot of rappers, only want to express one emotion when they rap. They only want to do songs about, how much girls they got, how much weed they smoke. You know what I'm saying? They don't want to talk about real life, like how they felt when their mom was on crack. What we're doing with JayZ is we're encouraging JayZ to have a human and get more into his story. Like what made you become a successful drug dealer before you rap? What made you stop selling drugs and turn to a rapper? Like we're trying to get him to really share a story with the world so he can get that respect and people can say, oh, this guy's really not a thug. He had a circumstance that he made this decision, that decision from. I think that's what JayZ did at some point. He made people understand his plight and what he went through, and that turned around and was successful for him. So it's like, to answer your question, it's kind of like, the first guy question is recognize those opportunities as a marketing person and not just trying to make better music, but recognizing the marketing that goes with the music. It's how you really, and it's like, end of the day, I know I'm on a tangent, y'all, but at the end of the day, I really try to build an artist brand. So it goes with what you said too, the fellow in the white shirt. Build your brand, like, whatever you love to do the most, or whatever rapper love to do, you gotta build that brand within yourself. This is what I do, regardless of what it is. Because one thing I learned in the PR class that I got to see in it, is high personal interest. People have to have a personal interest. They got to feel the human factor in what you do, and what you're saying to them.
Dr. Marconi.
Yeah, I mean, this regionality thing I think is very important and parallels to the history of rock, whether we're talking about people that are into the Motown sound, or they're into San Francisco sound, or Southern rock, or all this stuff.
Yeah.
And it really gives legitimacy because Allman Brothers,
Mm-hmm.
I used to say, Jerry Garcia couldn't sit in with the Allman Brothers and sound good because that was their colloquialism.
Yeah.
That's how they talked.
Yeah.
And he talked differently in San Francisco. But would hip hop be as big today if you didn't have records like, and you were talking about the schlockness of some of it, but like
MC Hammer,
no, even before that, like
Grandmaster Flash,
like a
Fred
Meet
Prince
Mike
Billy.
Tyson.
Okay. Yeah.
Those comedy
Yeah.
sort of took white America and said, well, this
Yeah.
isn't. I'm not so afraid of this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But Will Smith was being true to himself at that particular time.
Absolutely, it's still today.
He's being true to himself, and and I think that it was cool.
But would he have been as big if he didn't do something like that, which brought in so many white.
I don't think so, because I don't think he probably couldn't pique their interest. Will Smith's first single was about him cheating with a girl in her house and jumping out the window naked. That was his first song. No one talks about that song because no one, like you said, this wasn't, you know, it was very generic. Anyone could tell that story. But that I Could Beat Mike Tyson was just so clever. It was his lane. That goes back to what I was saying about find your brand and what you do best and sticking with it. You know what I'm saying? He knew his lane and he stuck with it for the most part of his career. I mean, like artists, it's cruel for artists because like most people don't want artists to take chances. You know, thank God Drake came in the door singing when he raps, so now he can. His next single is going to drop in a couple days. He's singing the whole song. Honestly, he's singing the whole song. But even when Kanye did his album, the 808 and Heartbreak album, I mean, there was a lot of people who really were really upset about him singing, but I think it became a successful album by his own rights. It sold 1.7 million albums, which is, you know, I like to see Beyonce try to do a whole rap album. You know what I'm saying? You know, I'm not saying he's the best singer in the world, but he built his brand to a point where he could get away with that to a certain extent.
Well, I mean, it's been written a lot of times that an artist has, for a longevity career, has two choices.
Mm-hmm.
One is to stay consistent over time.
Mm-hmm.
Rolling Stones.
Yes.
I mean, you don't really care what they're singing.
Yes.
It's just
Yeah.
consistent over the time. And the other is to challenge the audience and ask the audience to come along with
Exactly. Yeah.
Miles Davis.
Yes.
Is a great example.
Yes.
So David Bowie, Madonna, those people.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think if an artist makes that conscious decision, like Keith Richards is not going to co-host The Tonight Show with Jay Leno.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, it's just not part of that image.
He's
brand.
probably not sober enough to do that, but probably not sober enough to do that.
But,
But for your point, but the cool thing about the Rolling Stones is, you know, Kanye toured with them.
yeah.
You know, and it was cool for them to say, hey, young guy, you know what, we respect what you're doing. Here's a chance, see what you can do.
Right.
You know, it wasn't.
They're also trying to they're always broaden.
Yeah, you know, and
I saw Dave Matthews Giant Stadium, and Macy Gray
amazing, great, okay, yeah,
opened for him.
yeah, yeah.
And there was maybe in Giant Stadium there's maybe 200 people,
Yeah.
and she's lying down.
Yeah.
There's 16 people
Yeah.
on stage. She's lying down, and I said, first of all, she's paying too many people.
Yeah.
The second thing is, though, as soon as Dave Matthews, of course, 50,000, and Dave has tried many times, of course, with his integrated band to broaden his audience, which obviously he wasn't doing with
Yeah.
Macy Gray.
Exactly.
Just in seeing her, no
Yeah.
matter who was out there.
Yeah.
But I think that's true. If an artist can make that determination, they're going to stay consistent. Or if they challenge, they're going to risk losing some
Yeah.
people. But I mean, Bob Dylan plugging in 1964 and going electric,
Mm-hmm.
and they threw the sandals at him, you know, with the Newport. But I mean, he was saying, if I'm going to get to a broader audience,
Yeah.
I have to plug in.
Yeah.
I don't have a choice.
Exactly.
It's a conscious decision,
Yeah.
not just a whim, like you were saying. Some artists will come in and go, well, I want to do that. Yeah, but if it doesn't fit,
Yeah.
it's not going to work. Nobody's going to believe you.
That's true.
It doesn't fit what you do.
There's no validity in it. But something you said earlier you were saying about consistency. Oh, you know, one of the best days of my life, guys. I'm a hip hop. This is something I have to correct LA on all the time. I'm a hip hop fan, yes I am, but I'm also like an R&B fanatic. Like, you know, I start my. I'm gonna call myself an R&B historian in like a couple of years. I'm still studying up on some things, but I got a chance to meet Ron Isley and work with Ron Isley. And I'm actually doing marketing his new album on Def Jam, Def Soul, will be calling the label these days. But I'm working on his new project, and he's been in the music industry for over 52 years. His first hit record was Shout 52 years ago. And I'm at his house, meeting for the first time, you know, and in St. Louis, and it was his wife's birthday. You know, and we was drinking champagne. So, it's time for champagne, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So I'm drinking champagne with Ron Isley, and I'm just like, oh my God, I'm ecstatic. And I'm talking to him, and I say, so tell me a little bit about, you know, the early days and how you guys started out. And he was like, well, you know, we started as a trio, a doo-wop group. And he said, but at some point, we started recognizing that I don't want to misquote him, but I think what he was saying was that he started recognizing that a lot of the America started shifting towards all these European groups, like the Stones and the Beatles, who were covering Ozzy Brothers songs back in Europe. But they would come in with the bands, and they said, well, we felt we had to be a band to compete with those guys. You know, so here's a guy who's been in the game for 52 years, saying how like his peers those times, how they elevated him and made him turn his trio into like it was an 8-piece band that Ozzy Brothers were at some point. You know, and I was like, wow, it's amazing how these guys are so perceptive, and like you said, how they realize that it's about continuity and growth, and they're not afraid to grow. And 52 years later, you know, he's still doing it. His new record sounds amazing. You know, it's like, but like you said about the continuity, and it's how you figure out a way to this, and also being who you are. Like, I'm sure he would want to sell out Giant Stadium. He probably never sold out Giant Stadium in his entire life, but I think he's pretty content on being consistent. You know.
You have another question? Go ahead.
Yeah, I wanted to know if you could talk about like this process of believing in someone so strongly. You know, like that feeling has to come from within you.
Yeah.
But what is you're sitting down with a prospective client.
Mm-hmm.
What do they do to make you feel that way? What do they
Man, they gotta be crazy in some way. They gotta be a little crazy. You have to be crazy to really believe in yourself. You gotta be crazy. And you gotta be willing to wear that on your wear that badge of honor, like, I'm a star on artist, and I'm the best ever, and you don't believe me. You have to have that mentality. I mean, and you don't have to say it, but there's some things you do could show it. You know, and that's what it comes down to. Like, I mean, Steve, you made a lot of artists before. Like, don't you sense that in the good ones?
Yeah, I call it. I use the Rocky analogy. I call it the eye of the tiger.
Yes, exactly.
They got it. They gotta want it.
Yeah, if you don't hear the dent, you forget about it. You know, there's a lot of artists who don't have that.
There's a lot of artists. He's worked with them. I've worked with them, who make their record, make their songs, turn over to the record company, and go, "Thanks, see you." That's not how it works.
Yeah, no off season, no preseason, no off season.
It's like you got to put into it as much as you expect him.
Yeah.
If you want him to believe in you, then you better believe twice as much to convince him.
Yeah. I mean, there's an artist that I'm working with now on the marketing side that I believe in, but I don't think he believes in himself as much as I believe in him. And I'm just like, yo, man, like, LA and I spent so many hours trying to break down this guy. Like, look, man, just get on stage and let it loose. We kept saying, you think Beyonce really walks around in the Sasha Fierce attitude? No. She just knows that, okay, I'm really shine. Beyonce is the most laid back salesperson you ever meet in your life. She's just so laid back and shy to herself. You would never know that. When she gets on stage, it's like, it's Sasha Fierce. She don't give a f. She's out. She's going hard. And I'm telling the artists, I'm like, you have to develop that alter ego. You have the alter ego that you're the when you walk around here, and you go on stage, you're the and you stop worrying about making mistakes. Kanye never in his life had a choreographer. I call it the Holy Ghost choreography. That's what I call it, Holy Ghost. Here you go. My wife and I, we tease him all the time. Like we ran across the stage at full speed and stopped and turned around. You playing that? Nah. We make fun of him all the time about it. He laughs about it. It's like, but you gotta feel it. And one thing LA said last week, we showed LA a video that I'm working on. He was like, she ain't feeling it, man. It's not her eyes. I was like, wow, it's amazing you say something like that, because he's right. Like, some artists don't feel it, and they don't feel it, they don't connect. It don't last for long. Macy Gray, I don't really think, I think she had the makings of a soul singer, but deep down inside, it was manufactured. It wasn't as soulful as it should have been. Maybe it's because people wasn't made, because it probably happened for, not so fast, but to a point where no one was like, yo, you need to get this, do X, Y, and Z. Like stop hiding behind 16 people. I think what happened with her, I think she became overly self-conscious of herself because she's not attractive and she doesn't have a great voice, but she has a great tone. And I think 16 folks on stage because she was afraid to be on stage by herself. And people probably saw, like, you ain't the real shit. You know what I'm saying? Okay, I buy your records and they're good, but I'm not going to really support you. That's what probably happened to her. You know?
I know it's getting late. I just want to have perhaps you leave us with a thought look into your crystal ball, what do you think is going to be blow up and become the next thing?
The iPad.
You're touching so much
Let me
stuff.
get the Wi-Fi right. The iPad. iPad. Apple. Invest in Apple now. I just really believe that record labels are gonna be okay. We're going through a really tough time right now. I just think that it's gonna all work out. I think it's gonna take someone not in the music industry to really figure this out for us. It's gonna take a scientist to come up with something. It's just like, the record industry is like a type of person. Here's the personalized record industry. It's a couple of personalities. There's people like myself who are like in the middle, where like, okay, I'm successful. I got a decent amount of money, decent amount of success. But I don't have what I call money. Like I can't say I'm doing my way, and whatever I do, I don't care because I have enough money to support myself. And the people who are way on top, who are like, I'm riding to Willis for loss. I ain't changing. Then you got people like, maybe like my friend Steve back there, who's like, on the bottom because sees what it's supposed to be. But we don't really let that guy get to where he needs to be because, like, he's speaking a different language to people on top. They're like, they don't really want to know what he's really saying because they're like, look, our shit's going to end at some point. I'm rising motherfucker till will fall off. And that's the problem. So until someone comes outside the industry and puts pressure on all three of us, Steve and the little people to prove themselves, they believe in themselves, me to like say, well, believe in yourself, get the money. And if the guys on top to say, yo, show me something, you know what I'm saying? Really, it's not going to really change because it's a dynamic of fear on all levels. It just takes someone like a Steve Jobs who just don't give a and not afraid. And to me, the Apple thing is, oh my God, this guy is the most phenomenal person. I actually met him one time too. Phenomenal, man. I don't know where he gets it from. I don't understand, man. But his plan of attack is so great. Like he knows, damn well there's an iPad somewhere with a working Wi-Fi, with a camera attached to it, with all kinds. It's there. But he figured out ways. He figures out he's his soul. He times it properly. And iTunes, they're so crazy to deal with, man. They got all these crazy ass rules and that I'm like, I was with Kanye in Hawaii. I was like, you know what, man? If it's up to me, man, I wouldn't make no single for his album. A single. Buy my whole because he's a single, he's an album guy. He's not a single guy. He's an album guy. But I don't know how I could tell LA, so we're not gonna do singles. He'd probably be like, what? And Steve Jobs probably won't bend. He don't give a he ain't gonna bend, so I will not be on iTunes. So it's like things like that. I don't think there's anyone in the music industry who has the time or everyone's under so much pressure to deliver for these boards and these quarterly. No one has the time to sit back and just say, it's going to take someone who's super rich to just buy a record label and change things and do things their way. And that's going to set the precedent. Because one thing in the music industry, we're really good at imitation. We're the best imitators you ever met in your life.
True.
We gotta find someone to imitate because in all fairness, we don't have the time or luxury to really totally think outside the box. We do it little spurts. There are little spurts. I mean, I'm really proud of LA and the Def Jam staff. We put out, or the album Def Jam staff, we put out Justin Bieber 2 albums in less than 6 months. I think that was quite amazing. And even still, people are like, what SoundScan gonna be the first pick? I'm like, I don't know. I don't give a f. Doesn't matter. We did we couldn't even revel in our success, guys. We somebody's wondering what's the SoundScan gonna be for the second album. Who gives a f? We just did something no one else ever did. We put out 2 albums in 6 months on someone who's, they said when we did that first projection for Justin Bieber, we thought he was gonna sell 50,000 albums, Life of Project, on the first album. He sold 1.1 million records sold. So it's like the balls and energy that took for our staff to do that in LA and school of the manager and the arts to do that. No one's even thinking about that type of stuff because, it's like we just don't have the luxury to really do those type of things more and more. And that's what's, it's sad.
You're right. Well, I want to thank you for making the journey out here. I appreciate it.
No problem. I'm halfway home. You kidding me? I'm halfway home.